Today the lunch lecture will be from Heijmans, and I'll first give the word to Sasha.
Good afternoon and bon appetit. Is it good to, can you understand me? Or not? Okay. Thank you for coming. I'm Sasha. This is my colleague, Rob. He will take over for the fun stuff in the presentation. We are here to tell you a little bit about what we do as Heijmans ASML, ASML. We have a specific contract only focused on ASML, and that's we are from that part of the company. But to start, we will show you a little bit of the big picture of Heijmans, and afterwards we will zoom in the ASML part. And for that, to start with some fun, we wanted to start with a little movie. I'm the old guy here. I don't know how this works. That's why he's here. In the film, you will already maybe will recognize a few things you will see when we follow through the presentation. But it all started at Jan Heijmans 100 years ago. From this year, we celebrated that party really big, a week or 3 ago. He started by his own. Now we are almost 5,000 people working with each other, and trying still to not only think but also create. We are, just to start out flat, we are a company listed in the stock exchange in Holland. That means we have a lot of stakeholders to deal with. We are a company that builds residential buildings, industrial buildings, waterworks, and roads. So that's our flat core business, which is organized in this way. I'll speed up this a little bit because the fun part is later anyway. You will see that the lower blue parts are our creator parts of the company. What's especially interesting here is that the middle part, building and technology, is not just creating buildings, but we have our own engineering company inside that part. Heijmans ASML is part of the non-residential building and technology part. If you don't like ASML, but you come from a different part of the country and still want to work for us, we are represented all out of the country, and you will also see that in the type of people, the type of works that we do. So if we make the switch from the company as an organization to the people working there, we think we are the creators of healthy living environments, and you can see that in everything we do. We try to share that with all our colleagues and make a culture out of that, so maybe even almost a family. And that's something and you see that in our mission, something we not only do in our buildings, in our products. You saw the Heijmans 1, the little house that you saw in the movie. That's a house you can build in 2 steps. It's really fast. It's really sustainable. But we also do that for our own people, for our coworkers. For example, everybody who wants to, you don't have to, but who wants to, can do a physical check every year. It's paid by Heijmans. You also get your time off to do that. So we try to be good for our environment, and people are part of that environment. Our people are part of that environment. Not only our people, but also the client we work for, of course. And our client is the guy or woman or organization that pays us, but most of the time there's somebody else behind the client using the product we're making, a building or a factory or whatever. So usually the one who is going to use the asset, that's the one we want to focus on, because if he's happy, we are making the good product. The rest is all just contract and ways to talk to each other. But in the end, we have to make something that helps the end user in doing his core business or his function in which we made it for, like living. Yeah, this is actually the same, but then the points we want to emphasize for that. And the good thing I just told you about, that we have our own engineering department in the building and technology part of Heijmans. That means that we have every aspect of construction technology represented there, and we can think along with a lot of end users. We can think along in the small companies that need buildings. We can think along in people that just need houses, but also, for example, for ASML. This is all still the boring part. I'm going to speed up. It's time for Rob to take over. We have a strategy to get and to make this world better, to make the environment a healthy living environment as we want it. These terms are very popular right now: better, smarter, and sustainable. I think every company wants that, but you can see in our products that we also really do that. Of course, we cut that in pieces so we can steer on the results. If you just shout it out, it's very nice, but you need to make things smaller to be able to steer on the results. Safety is always on top. Doesn't matter which meeting, every agenda we have, safety is on top. That is a representation of how important we think that is. Sorry. Focused on the future, that's, of course, that end user again. He will determine what we will need to make. He will determine what is needed in the world, so it doesn't make sense, as a lot of companies in this conservative sector, the construction sector is pretty conservative, but the end user is speeding up really fast with all its technologies, so you cannot leave them out. You have to think ahead and think with those people to create the products that will be necessary in the future, and not just a pile of bricks to live in. That's too old-fashioned for the users of these days. If we talk about the future, ASML is a pretty big part of that future, and Rob knows all about that.
Yeah, I think maybe you say it's more of the boring stuff, but I think it's one of the most important stuff, because we've been doing this for 100 years now, quite a long time. However, if we want to keep going for another 100 years, well, it's important that we keep changing, keep moving. I think everybody knows all the new rules, etc., from in the building and the construction area. So if you stand still, it's going backwards, if you say. So I think it's maybe a bit boring, but kind of the most important stuff of the company. Before I go to our ASML contract, we would like to include you a little bit. Maybe, I think everybody's almost done eating, so a little exercise is maybe good to start off with. I want to ask you a question, but first of all, can everybody stand up to make it a bit more interactive? We're going to do a Mexican standoff, but then without the guns, of course. I think not permitted here. The question is, are you more of a practical or a theoretical person? So if you're more practical, stand up, stay standing, please. And if you're more theoretical, you can sit down. See, kind of 50-50. Does someone want to elaborate? Some volunteers, otherwise I can ask somebody randomly, of course. You're in the front row, so you're kind of fucked, if I can say that. Can I ask you why you're more of a theoretical?
I'm more of a math person than the applied.
What's the most interesting thing about it, huh?
Well, collaborating together with the practical people can be really enlightening and kind of learning from each other.
I'm going to the back as well, so it's not because you're in the back that you can get the speech. I see someone standing here. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course, I think in the practical environment, the things are actually made in the way that people will use them. So I think that's definitely just as important as the theoretical side, and I'm probably a bit more interested in that side.
Thank you. Of course, both are equally as important, well for Heijmans as for us. Oh yeah, I can stay up. Okay. If everybody can sit down now, then we do another one. Would you prefer working in a turbulent or ordered environment? So a bit more chaos or a bit more structure? So stand up if you're pro chaos, and please sit down if you're pro ordered. You're a little bit pushed to go stand up. I'm starting with you. Most of you are sitting down, okay? Can you do a bit more?
Yeah, so I just think that things go a bit quicker when it's chaotic, and usually more stuff gets done. So, yeah.
And when do you thrive when there's chaos? What do you do exactly?
Well, it's about problem solving. So, yeah, I think that's the fun part about working. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Someone who's more structured. Can I ask you about it?
I like to know what to expect, so it's nice to plan ahead and stuff like that.
What happens if it's getting more chaotic? Is it like brain freeze, or is it more you get things ordered?
Well, then you can forget important things if it's very chaotic.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Of course, there's not a good and a bad answer again. Last one. Everybody's already sitting, so that's great. Would you prefer to work for a project management area or more of a maintenance area? We get a little bit more explanation next, but so for the project base, it's more end and beginning. Maintenance more continuous improvement. See some changes. Go to the back for this. You're not getting skipped because you're already in back. Can I ask your opinion about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, I like when I have just to maintain the process, like just fixing the problems, not having to come up with it, just fixing the failures in it.
Do you use project-based teams in that as well, or not?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, nothing comes to mind now, but yeah.
No, I can understand. All the way in back, the guys of the organization. I see you're more of a, what was it, standing up project-based person.
Yeah, I think more the development of projects itself instead of like the continuous maintenance of properties.
So you're really looking for an end date as well. And what happens if it's continuous? Getting bored, or is it more?
I think I would like some change once in a while and to work on different things.
Okay, thank you. I will come back down. Takes a minute, but.
I think it's probably clear why these questions are in here. All these aspects play a big role in Heijmans ASML because they're both pretty big companies. So you have a lot of structures slowing you down. Somebody was already saying like goes faster when you're chaotic. Yeah, the structure really slows you down. That's true, but it also is needed to predict results and stuff like that. And maintenance and projects is just really different. Rob's going to tell you a little bit more about that, but those three questions are really typical for what you both can find. So it doesn't matter if you stand up or sit down, both is part of our environment.
Yes, thank you. To go to the next, a little bit more about our contract at ASML. Um, it's quite of a difficult situation we're in to explain. For us, it's already clear after a few years. We do the maintenance for ASML, but we do that not alone. We do that with Equus and SPI, maybe familiar companies. Normally they are our competitors, but now they're also our colleagues. Together we call it the maintenance house. I don't think I have to explain why that name is being used. And we are in direct contact with the ASML corporate real estate section of ASML, who does all the real estate business for ASML, so that the end user of ASML, the ones working in the factories, don't have to come up with those subjects. A little bit more about ourselves. We're not going to talk about SPI and Equus, of course. They're still our colleagues, but we're now for ourselves, of course. We're divided in 3 subjects.
Asks for a lot asks for a lot of effort, because you have to open up all those installations. You have to make sure that every installation that's inside there is protected during your work. And in the end, when you're done, the only thing you see is a steel beam on the floor. But it took us 3 days to do only 30 meters. And that protects the cabin, so it's preventive maintenance to be sure that you don't have to go back in the clean room to restore the cabins every week. And it's corrective because it was already damaged. If there's damage or something broke down by wear and tear, that's called corrective. And preventive is to prevent for next coming problems.
By the way, if there are any questions during the presentation, just raise your hand and ask them. We can do it just throughout the whole presentation. Yeah, so that's the maintenance projects. I think it's quite clear what we do with that. It's like the renovation, replacement. We had a picture of, how is it called in English? Cooling. Yeah, and also in the maintenance part, it's also quite a bit about relationship building with your customer. It's not a project that ends, but it's continuous. So you have, if you end a small project, a maintenance project, without a happy customer, that's not going well on the long term. And the third one, we have the aesthetic quality. That's where I started. It's more, how do you say it, all around the company. The maintenance engineers are here, risk and compliancy. It's more process managers. So we make sure that we get the improvements, but also that we're predictable towards ASML. So here there's also a lot of process. We come up with a lot of processes that ASML always knows, okay, if we have this kind of preventive error, we know Heijmans is going to do this in 50 minutes, just for a priority 1 error, for example. Also the picture, it's like a condition measurement. We also always want to have the best asset performance. However, maybe I can ask you, you're all kind of technical schooled, right? Can someone describe what an asset is? Don't be shy. No one? Yeah, maybe we should have started with that, because it's something we came across not so long ago, because you can see an asset as this building, of course. Now, the building is usable, so it would be green. But maybe the roof is green, however, the floor inside is all cracks, so that's red. So those are different assets, but how far do you go with that? That's the kind of stuff our maintenance engineers think about. For example, the door can work perfectly, but the door handle needs to be fixed. So that's also maybe I make it a bit more difficult than I have to, but that's what our maintenance engineers think about and how to solve these kind of things. It's way more theoretical than the projects and the maintenance. By the way, maintenance is also a lot of contract management, so there's also rules and theoretical. It's like you have to know the whole contract, and that's kind of a big paperwork. So to make it a bit more recognizable, we want to show you some people who also studied here, have been here in the exact same sheets some time ago. To start with Yvonne already on the top. She is our manager for our contract. I think she was here like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So that's how fast it can go. Right in the middle we have Sasha, our project leader. Can I say how many years ago, or is that more sensitive? 20 years ago. We have quite a young team, especially the ones who came from this study. Eline, who was a contract manager, 2 years ago, she was still here. Remco, team manager of aesthetic quality, I think it's like 5 years, 6 years. Nicola, he's still a student. He does his, thesis assignment with us, so he's like a working student. Maybe more of you guys are planning to do so, or doing it now with a different company, don't know. And Michiel, product coordinator, close companion of Sasha. He has been here 3-4 years ago, maybe? Oh, 6 also, okay, that's a bit longer. Then we would like to ask you to take out your phone. Normally that's not allowed, I think, in the lecture, but we want to ask you some questions again, just to get to know you a bit. What kind of people do we have in front of us? So we would like to ask you to go to menti.com. It's quite a long code, so I will wait a bit before you enter everything. It's about which discipline do you prefer. We put some down there. Of course, there's way more than these 4, so that's why the other part is there. They're already coming in. not sure with how many people. It's like 30. Can see some preference already. Yeah, exactly. Of course, you don't need 30 risk and compliancy officers, but you do need 20 or more engineers, because that's the main part of our role. I'm curious about the other 5. Can someone explain what he is thinking of, or was it just, I don't know yet? Can someone raise their hand who put in the other part? Yes? What do you have in mind?
Perhaps some urban planning or something more towards the urban environment instead of buildings as an asset.
So more residential, is that what you mean, or?
Urban environment, like a complete city, for example.
Okay, so you're more on the macro level than just focused on one company. Okay, great, thank you. Someone else who wants to share their story with us? Then we can continue. We're already quite close to the end. I think we been going quite fast. But also for us, a little bit of feedback. We want to ask your perception about Heijmans and our office, Heijmans ASML. What's the first word you think of? What are you going to tell your friends if you tell them about this presentation today? Yes, okay. Can be positive, I think. Yeah, broken mic. I don't hope that will be staying in your mind. See some positive answers. I see you're all raised quite well. Sometimes there are some funny people who wants to swear in these kind of stuff. Okay, very nice. I think this will go on a little bit more, but this is especially helpful for us for the next presentation. We can use this, see what your perception is. One more thing I want to add. This Friday, we have a meet and greet at the ASML campus. It's from 11 to 2. It was full, however, they want to make it bigger because they noticed that a lot of people were interested in coming by. You can still participate. You can scan this QR if you want to sign up, or just for more information. We will also send this presentation to the members of KEOPS, so they will also have this information if you decide later. You get a guided tour, interviews with the Heijmans co-workers. Maybe we will be around. Sasha will probably be around. And you get a presentation by the Heijmans ASML management, who can tell even more about it than we maybe. And of course there's the lunch included, because it's between 11 and 4. And most of the times if we arrange your lunch, it's quite good, I can tell. So it's really recommendable. I don't know if Sasha wants to add something more to this presentation. Maybe that's a good thing, and everything has been quite clear. Yes, thank you very much that we can be here today, and good luck with your exams. I heard it started in like a week or so, so good luck with the deadlines for now and with the exams, and maybe see you later on Friday or in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Heijmans for giving the nice presentation. Thank you all for joining the lunch lecture. If you want my future point, you can be at Libby up the stairs and show your card, and then you get your my future point. And if you still have any questions, don't be afraid to just come down and ask them. So thank you.